This is another report about the coronavirus epidemic, life in it, and sometime in the summer of 2021. The Olympics have started and are proceeding in Japan. There were protests outside a stadium. Many people in Japan did not want this, but for the organizers there was too much at stake. Too much money, that is. They had to go on. So it is like a ghost Olympics. Confusion reigns here, with some saying that the epidemic is over, and others are saying it is far from over. The next big controversy, I think, will be with the children returning to school. How is that going to be handled? I think they will require masks. I think that would be a big mistake. Want to include this that I just read. Boy, in this time of the internet and Google and Facebook and Twitter, does it ever apply? Here it is, and I would print it all in italics for emphasis. That we are much informed does not mean that we are well informed. I think it's worth repeating. That we are much informed does not mean that we are well informed. We are the much informed. They are now saying that the next year will show a real boost in the amount of money that senior citizens will be receiving in Social Security benefits. The PM will step up and take full credit for this. The real reason for it is inflation. So while they will insist that we are getting more, in truth, of course, we will be getting less. And concurrently, all that we possess will be worth less too. Thanks a lot, government. The ratings for the broadcast of the town meeting on CNN was reported to be minuscule. 1.5 million people. It's funny how 1.5 million people are minuscule when it comes to rating, but if you attach that number to the virus, you have a full-blown epidemic. Maybe it's a minuscule epidemic, or an epidemic of minusculery. I'm going with that. Promotion for a new TV show. Ever wonder what if everything in your life turned out differently? The alternative universe theory. The infinite branching of time. Okay, sure. I can see the dramatic possibilities there, wide open. Anything can happen. But the most defining characteristic of my life is its irrevocability. It happened thus and only thus. And when the one thing happens, it has certain implications. All things are no longer possible. Even if that does constrict the dramatic possibilities. Well, there's reality and then there's fantasy. TV likes fantasy. You get better ratings. Much better ratings. People want very much to believe that anything might happen. Immigration remains a serious problem, and I don't think we are doing much about it, except looking the other way. I am probably soft on this subject. I come from immigrants, dislocated and exploited. I have no doubt. I don't feel like that, but it is true. I do come from them. Everyone in this nation, probably even the Native Americans, come from immigrants, some more recent than others. But socially, none have ascendancy. The only upper class we have is a plutocracy, due to capitalism. And those plutocrats are not only upper class, they are all first class. If you don't believe me, just ask them. Two plutocrats, Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson, rode rockets into space this month. They went up about 60 miles and they were there for about 10 minutes, not even an orbit. They hope to franchise this, offer seats to wealthy people who want a thrill ride. It's been 50 years since we walked on the moon. Now we've slid back to space hops, a cruise for people with more money than time, more money than sense. I read about making the distinction between people who agree or disagree with a proposition and those who feel it is a matter of the truth and a falsehood. People can agree with something even if they think it is not completely true. If they think something is true, then there is no room for discussion. And, for example, how about lies, damned lies, and statistics? Oh my. Pollsters tend to work with shades of agreement. Politicians look into issues as the truth or a pack of lies. When a discussion poses as a truth, there is no room for discussion. We are watching the Olympics again, even though, my God, some of it is boring. So it is time once more for me to bitch about competitions that are scored by judges. Sometimes the judgment is clear. Other times I completely disagree. On this point in the epidemic and before, regarding global warming, people would insist that we follow the science as if there was a single undeniable truth. And in many cases, there is not. We are back to agree and disagree, with tons of data to back it up either way. But I think following the science is as illusory as when the politicians start to crow about transparency. I hear that and I head for the hills. I think all of the competitions scored by judges should be exhibitions only. The current major struggle centers on non-vaccinators. You, the person who has chosen not to get a vaccine, you are endangering the rest of us, putting us all at risk. Or you are exercising your right to choose individual liberty. Those will counterbalance until the situation passes from risk to endanger. Then individual liberty will, for the nonce, recede. And if you still refuse, you may be forced to reside in a camp. What I do not understand is the whole issue. A non-vaxxer what is the problem that a non-vaxxer poses to someone who has been vaccinated? The risk there, I think, is zero.